So do you know that in between HTML code, JavaScript can be executed? Do you know that? In between HTML code, JavaScript can be executed? Yes or no? Yes. So now any HTML website can be injected with JavaScript, right? If at all a user or usually any website owner should not allow a customer to inject code. So obviously if the if at all they are allowing, they don't have enough restriction to stop us from injecting code, it's a vulnerability. So our scope is any website which is using HTML. Can you imagine the scope for cross-site scripting now? Any website which is using HTML can be injected with JavaScript, okay, and will be able to find vulnerability if they are not having proper restriction. So the scope of finding excesses is huge, very huge. That is why this is most commonly found, and there are multiple ways in order to make sure that this XSS goes to next level. Okay, you can take this XSS to next level. There is no limit. Okay, you can keep on creating a new strategy. You can keep on creating new bypassing techniques of XSS. That is why till now big organizations, big MNCs are still vulnerable for these kind of attacks, because people come up with new types of bypassing methodologies too. Okay, but yeah, cross-site scripting, it's having very much scope. So in this vulnerability, you basically inject JavaScript from the client side. From the user side, you will inject JavaScript. Okay, now if you guys are able to see, for an instance, for an example, I'll do one thing, I'll show you this. Okay, so let's say there is a website called test php. Okay, let's say test php website is there. So here, guys, first thing, as a penetration tester, my mind will go to position where user can give some inputs. So if someone gives me this a website and ask me to do penetration testing on it, first my eyes will go to positions where user is able to give some input. Okay, so if you see, this is a position where user can give some input, or I'll search for other positions. For example, I'll see sign up. So this is position is there, or sign up. So here, can you see how many points are there where we can inject our code? So many points. Okay, so there are so many ways. Here also there is a point, right? So there are so many areas where I'll be able to inject. But for now, I'll inject in this position where user is giving some input. So I'll type Batman and click go. Just see this. I have clicked back. I have typed Batman and searched. And here you are able to see the reflection. Okay. So if the website consider it as a plain text, if it considers it as a plain text, it will reflect it this way. Okay, so I'll right click and I'll show you the page source. This is the HTML source code. You can right click or you can say Control U. This is the HTML source code of the website. So you'll be able to understand what is happening in the backend. Okay, by analyzing this HTML source code, you'll be able to understand what is happening in the backend. So I'll scroll down and we will go here. Okay, guys, can you see here we have Batman? Okay, we are having Batman, right? So what I'll be doing is, if you are able to see, it is in between HTML code. Obviously, it's in between HTML code, and it is clearly saying search for Batman. Now, instead of Batman, if I give some JavaScript code, what happens? Let's check. Instead of Batman, I'll give script alert of 123. This is a simple JavaScript code which will pop up a message, an alert box, it will pop up. Are you getting it? So this is a simple JavaScript which will pop up alert message. So I'll click on go. Can you see an alert box popping up 123? Right? So this means that the JavaScript which we have given, it is getting executed. That means user has given a JavaScript code and it is getting executed on the website. Is it a vulnerability or not? User has given a code and it is getting executed. So as an ethical hacker, I am only giving one line of code which will not damage the website. Are you getting it? As an ethical hacker, I am only giving a one line of code which will not damage the website. What if I am illegal hacker? If I'm illegal hacker, I'll give 300 lines or 400 lines of code and I'll deface the entire website. I'll damage the website. So what happens? Then obviously the company will be going into loss. Reputation will get damaged. So by by executing one line of code is getting executed means even 300 lines or 400 lines of code will also get executed. That's a simple logic which everyone know, right? One line of code is getting executed from user side means even 400 lines of code will also get executed. So as an ethical hacker, we just have to prove one line of code is getting executed. That too, it should not infect or it should not damage the website or the customers who are using that website. It should not damage. Okay, we have to be careful. That is why we are using a simple JavaScript alert message. Okay, so if you see from user side, it is getting executed. And can you see it is not showing us anything in here? Searched for, previously it showed Batman, but here it is not showing Batman, or script alert of 123 it is not showing. Do you know why? Why is it not projecting the our search, whatever we have done so far right now? Script alert of 123. Why is it not showing it, or why is it not reflecting it here? Any idea? Okay, so it is not considered as a plain text, it is considered as a script. So as I told you, if website considers it as a plain text, then only it will reflect it. If it is not considering it as a plain text, it will not reflect. It will consider it as a code, right? So if I show you view page source, scroll down, and you are able to see instead of Batman, now it is script alert of 123 in backend. You are able to see the code we have injected in between HTML. We have injected JavaScript in between the HTML code and it got executed. Okay, instead of this small line, if I give hundreds of lines also, it will get executed. Okay, so but anyways, as we have to stick only for non-intrusive methods which should not damage the website. Now I'll show you a website which is not vulnerable for this small type of attack. Okay, so Amazon website, let's say Amazon.in. I'll just get into Amazon.in and see, guys, I'll just give some details. Like, for example, I will say Batman. Okay, I'll say Batman. And if you are able to see, here we are having Batman, reflection is there. So I'll right click and say view page source. As Amazon website is a big one, you'll have a huge source code. So I'll just control F to get find option, and I'll search for Batman. It is easier for us to get. Yes. So can you see in back end it is getting reflected at this point, right? In between HTML title tags, it is getting reflected in here. So what I'll be doing is I will inject script which we have used it in here, script tag. Okay, I'll inject the script. Do you think it is going to pop up a message? Do you guys think this, if I run, is it going to pop up a message? No. Why? What is the reason? If I click search, it's not popping up and it is also showing us the data. That means it is considering this input as a plain text. So why? What is the reason? Let's try to see the view page source and try to understand what's happening in backend. Control F, alert. Okay. So if you see this line, can you see what happened in here? Okay. Instead of angular braces, it is getting replaced with ampersand LT and ampersand GT. Instead of angular braces, it is getting replaced with LT and GT. For less than symbol, it is ampersand LT, and for greater than symbol, it is ampersand GT. So what is this? This is called UTF-8 encoding, where for script or for HTML, injection. Okay, so the main element is for the payloads. For the main element is tags. Yes or no? Angular braces are the main elements. So it's not that all JavaScript payloads are having Angular braces for sure. No, 90% of JavaScript codes only have Angular. Remaining doesn't have Angular braces. Okay, so you can, up to some extent, you can find out bypassing methodologies through that. But anyways, right now, if you see, what did the developer do? They have restricted user from entering Angular braces. That means even if user enters Angular braces, in backend it is getting replaced with LT and GT. So it is not considered as a script anymore. It is not considered as a JavaScript anymore. That is the reason why it is getting executed. Did you guys understand it? Yes. Right. So that is how few websites overcome this vulnerability, cross-site scripting vulnerability, by placing restrictions for user. So they will, this is called encoding, wherein they'll replace the values which user enters, so that the payloads will not get executed from user end. So that is how websites should take care of. Okay. Now I'll show you one example, a real-time example, real-time report of a researcher for cross-site scripting. Okay, just see this cross-site scripting report, and I'll show you a video. See, this person has gotten $700 for cross-site scripting report. So for finding cross-site scripting vulnerability, Twitter reported on Twitter. Okay. So Twitter has given $700 to this person. So you know how much $700 in Indian currency is? It's around 53,000 or 52,000 something. It is around 52,000 rupees. Okay, for cross-site scripting vulnerability. What did that person do? Okay, what did that person do? See the POC. POC is nothing but proof of content. That is, the researcher will take a video of the attack and they'll submit as a proof that this is how the vulnerability is happening. Okay, so I'll open this. Okay, so guys, see this video. See this video, a real-time report. Just see what hacker is doing is, first he's finding a user input. So he's clicking on report. He's clicking on new report. Here we are having many user inputs. So what he's doing, a simple JavaScript. This is one of another payload wherein same error alert message it will pop up. So if you see alert document.domain, that means we gave alert of 1 to 3, means there will be a dialog box popping up saying 1 to 3. Here document.domain means the website domain name will pop up in the dialog box instead of 123. Okay, simple payload, one line of payload. Okay, so you click on run. So what's happening is, can you see this? There is a pop-up of that domain name. Okay, simple, right? So for this one line of code, he found an input field, and he has injected the one line of that code, and he got a pop-up. And for this he got 52,000 or 53,000 or so, right? So can you imagine? The thing is, you need a lot of patience, though. It is not that you go to a website and directly inject it and you'll get it. You have to balance the query, and then you have to use numerous payloads, and finally there will be one payload which will trigger. Okay, and you'll be able to get the result which you are expecting. So obviously it's not that Ronaldo or Dhoni, they'll be given lakhs of rupees for playing 1 hour or half day in match. So few people, just for their understanding, I'm just telling you that, see, Ronaldo or Dhoni, they'll be paid lakhs or millions of rupees for one day cricket, for playing one day cricket or one day football. Okay, why? Because it's not that the time of one day they are playing, it's that how much efforts they put in the practice, so that they get that much valued for that one day match. That means remaining 365 days, remaining 364 days, they have practiced for that one day to play. So they are valuing the entire 365 days, not just that one day to pay them. So same way for a hacker, if you see this kind of reports, it's not that a hacker has simply went and just applied a payload, and sometimes it works too. Okay, if you are having luck, if you are lucky enough, but we have to search for many input fields, and in each input fields we have to keep on trying, inject it, see the response code, html source code we have to see, we have to understand the flow of code, and we have to build our manual payloads. Okay, manual javascript payloads, so that we can balance it and we can execute it. And there are few websites which will keep restrictions, so we can bypass those restrictions by building our own payloads. Okay, so for that you need some experience, you need a lot of practice, like you have to play a lot of test matches before getting into one day matches, or before getting into you have to play a lot of gully cricket or many state matches in order to play international match, right? So something like that. You have to practice in labs, you have to practice many times with many different payloads, and you have to think in many different angles, and then you have to perform your attacks. So that is when you'll be successful in getting this kind of bounties. Okay, definitely it is not that difficult. It's just that you have to be more dedicated enough and passionate enough to find vulnerabilities. Okay. So, anyways, let's move forward. In our cross-site scripting, I hope you got a little bit of idea about what cross-site scripting is. We basically inject a JavaScript code in user input fields. Okay. So in cross-site scripting, we are having different types of cross-site scriptings. We are having stored based, we are having reflected, we are having DOM based. So DOM and reflected are pretty similar. So usually we tell stored based and reflected cross-site scriptings. Okay, so when it comes to stored based cross-site scripting, it is given more preference. Stored based XSS is given more preference than reflected XSS. Okay, so what is the difference between stored based and reflected? Do we have any difference in payload? Do we have any difference in the code which we use? No. We use the same payload, same JavaScript code, but the area, the injection point where we inject and we trigger cross-site scripting, that decides whether it is a stored based or reflected. Are you getting it? The area where we inject the or where we trigger the cross-site scripting vulnerability decides whether it is reflected or stored based. Are you guys understanding it? Okay. So stored based is nothing but it is permanent. Stored based is permanent. Reflected is temporary. Reflected is temporary. For example, if I search something in a search bar, guys, just imagine there is this website. Let's say the same website I'll take. So let's say this website is there. So here there is search bar. So whatever I search in this search bar, is it storing this data in database? Is it storing the data whatever I have searched? Is it storing, is this website storing the search whatever I have searched inside the database of the website? No, it won't, right? But let's say sign up, sign up here. So let's say I'll enter all the details and I'll click on sign up. So will my details be stored in database? Will my details be stored in database? Yes. So did you find a difference? If I inject my JavaScript in search bar, it is going to be reflected because it's temporary. It's not storing anywhere. It is temporary. But if I inject my cross-site scripting here, where the data will be stored in the database, that is going to be stored based, because that just JavaScript, if I inject in here, okay, and if it is vulnerable for scripting, Java, if it is having excesses cross-site scripting vulnerability, what happens is that JavaScript will get stored in the database, and every time I open this website, that script will get triggered. Okay, it will be permanently stored. Okay, and it will keep on triggering. Did you understand now? It will keep on getting triggered. All right, got it? Yes, yes. So for an instance, I'll show you an example. For that, I'll switch on my lab. That is OWASP. Yeah, I'll switch on OWASP, broken web application. Okay, so the IP is 0.105. All right, 192.105. Enter. So get into the damn vulnerable website, login. All right. So guys, see here there is example. So if you see, I'll just enter some hello, or I'll enter my name Karthik, click submit, and I am able to see hello Karthik. So if I enter some ABC, so it will say hello ABC. So the input which we are giving, it is getting reflected here. So if I give script tag, if I give script tag, okay, and I'll just simply copy it and keep, and I'll click on submit. So it is getting reflected. It is giving us a pop-up 123, right? It's giving us a pop-up 123. So if I go to another page and come back to this page, am I getting the pop-up again? No, I'm not. Because the pop-up which I got was temporary. Okay, that is reflected cross-site scripting. Okay, it is temporary. But whereas going here, I'll do one thing, reset. Yeah. So coming here, so if you see, if I give some data, okay, if I give some data, it is getting stored, it is getting saved here. Okay, it is getting saved. What if I give, Okay, script in here and click save. Okay, so if you are able to see, I got a pop-up of 1 to 3. So click OK. Can you see here test 3 message is blank because it is considering it as a script. So anywhere I go, if I come back to this page, I'll get this pop-up. Or even if I log out from the website and log in back, go to this page, I'll get pop-up because this is permanent. This is permanent now. Okay, because the data which the script which I have given, that is stored inside the database. So every time I open this page, it will get triggered. Okay, it will load the website, and when it loads, the database will get loaded, and that script is there, script will get loaded. So ultimately every time I open, it will get popped up, right? So that is stored based cross-site scripting. Is it clear? Did you guys understand it? Yes. Yes. So, what we'll be doing is in next class, okay, we'll be seeing what are the different bypassing methodologies in cross-site scripting. Okay, we'll continue our cross-site scripting and we'll see different website scenarios. Okay, how to bypass them, how to bypass the cross-site scripting restrictions which developer has given. Okay, we'll do source code reviewing and we'll try to understand the code and we'll try to understand the HTML source and we'll try to build a payload in next class. Okay, manual payload building, cross-site scripting. Okay, is that fine, everyone? Yes. All right. So we'll meet in next session again.